Okay. Everyone knows Sebastien, so I'm going to explain a little story. And this one is from a few days ago. Last week, I did an interview both to Alex and him, and I realized that he's a shuffling dance fan.
I don't remember.
And then we planned to do some shuffling dancing on stage. And
No way.
and I was going to wear like a robot head that goes into a video, which is really cool, but it didn't happen. So maybe we can convince him with some clapping or some.
No. We need some music.
No. Okay. It's an injury. It's an injury thing.
No,
okay.
Tonight,
Thank you.
Tonight
Thanks a
with
lot.
some music.
Maybe later
Yeah,
the after
tonight.
party.
Okay, so let's be serious and talk about Vue.js. And if I have time, maybe I'll do it. So today I will talk about Vue and server-side rendering. Wow, this is white. Sorry. So first, who am I? I am Sebastien Chopin. I'm the co-author of nuxt.js. I've been using Node.js for 7 years now. It was in version 0.8. And I've already done server-side rendering, but it was with Backbone.js. And since it didn't have virtual DOM, I was using Phantom.js and trying to hack a way to do server-side rendering. So when I knew that Vue has virtual DOM and server-side rendering, I was like, fuck yeah. So first, let me explain you what is server-side rendering. I guess most of you know already, but why not telling it again? So it's also called SSR. So it's been around for years with PHP or most of the language. When you were making a website before with PHP or even today, you still do server-side rendering. So it's been here for a long time. So I've made some animation to show you. So the browser go to an URL, he asks for the PHP backend, so it's an example with PHP. So it will call the MySQL database, for example, if you need to fetch some data. Then it will return the data, and the PHP backend will send back HTML, and we have our beautiful web page. And that's it. When the user will click on a link, it will do the same thing. It will ask again to the PHP server, and etc. So then we had single-page application. So what happened now is you have a browser, you ask directly for the URL, and he sends you a bunch of HTML and JavaScript files, and you can have a small loader. In the same time, it's downloading the JavaScript, executing it, and then if you need to make some AJAX request to get the data of the user, he makes the AJAX request, and then we can have our web page. But what is great with single-page application is the user experience. When everything is loaded, when you navigate, you just click on a link, you only make a request, you have data, and then you can show the next page. So it's really great for user experience. But let's try to do both server-side rendering and single-page application. So we call it Universal App. And it's like this. So we make a request. We will call our Node.js server. This Node.js server has a Vue app or a React app, for example. And like with the spa mode, it will make the request to your API, send back some JSON, and then send back the HTML. When the HTML is loaded, the user already has the content, so he can already read your article, whatever you have on your website. In the meantime, the browser will download and execute your JavaScript. For Vue and for React, it will create, like for the single-page app, your website, like all the DOM node, and it will hydrate to the HTML server rendered. So it can patch it and then make it dynamic. But this is really fast and transparent for the user. And in worst case, if the JavaScript was not downloaded, when you click on a link, it will just go back to this workflow, request. So it's still functional even if the person doesn't have JavaScript. So that's why I loved server-side rendering. So we've seen that. So why server-side rendering? For SEO, I think everyone knows why it's useful. Social sharing, when you share on Twitter, on Facebook, and so the crawlers will see directly the content of your page since he read the HTML. Faster time to content, it's really useful for mobile because there is a slow internet connection. So if you have to download all the JavaScript, which can be some megabytes, the user on mobile, let's say he's on 3G, he will have a white screen for a while. But you can, what if you can serve it directly the content so he can start reading and then making the user experience better afterwards? So this is why it's good for first faster time to content and save several resources. So we've seen in the universal flow, the server is called only one time per user. So except if he reloads the page manually, the Node.js server will have only one call per session. Then it's only client-side and your API taking the load. So how it works, we have a Node.js server which is used to server render your app every time there is a request. So we started with npm install --save express view and view server render. So I will show you how to do it with view. And we add a script in your package.json called dev, and we create this app.js file. OK. So we require Express, so we create our server. We require our middleware, because otherwise the file will be too long. And then we create our route, which will catch every route and call our middleware, and we listen on 3000. Our middleware, we require view. We create the renderer with view server renderer and the create renderer method. And then we have our middleware. For every request, we will create a view app. Here, we hard-coded it in our file, but we will see how we can improve this, because no one wants to write our view file inside our Node.js application. And then we can call render to string, which will render the HTML you can see with URL fields. And that's it. So let's look how it works. So I have a few folders. We'll start with the first one. Is it OK, or should I zoom a little bit? Yeah. Like this. OK, so we have our server. OK, I rename it to server. And OK, so you already seen that. So let's just run the server. And yes, it works. And it was really fast. So, but let's look at the HTML. This is pretty weird because we don't have any JavaScript inside. So let's create a second example. Yeah, I will create the second example, and we will see after how we can add the JavaScript to make it like a normal single-page application. So I will go to second example. So there is option to create renderer. Instead of having our template here, you can give an HTML file, and you can give this. So Vue will directly inject the HTML of the app instead of this comment. So we simply require our HTML file. We give it as template, and that's it. So we already moved the template to a file. So guess what? It will be the same example. So OK, let's do it little step by step. OK, it's going to be like 2 hours. It's going to be fun. I love doing this. OK, third example. We move our application in a new file called app.js. This file will get a context as an argument. The context, as you can see here, it's our URL. So our app will know which URL you are on the server, so you can show the good pages. So this is how it works. We create the same app, we give the URL, and I added a click event, so we can say hello to the vuejs Amsterdam crew, and we will do an alert. So let's see how it goes. We have our button, and if I click, there is nothing happening. So this is not good. We can see here that there is no JavaScript, so it's normal. So how can we have JavaScript loaded as well? Otherwise, we're just having a PHP server with Vue.js as template. So it's not really a great user experience. OK, so now let's show some slides before. OK, I'm just showing you this for a while. So we have our source folder. And inside, we have our app.js that we have seen. It's our universal entry. So we will receive our, we will have two files. OK, this, I took it from the SSL doc, but I might change it and make a pull request, because we have actually two files, one for server, one for client. And then we have our app.js, which is shared between the client and the server. This file will be executed both on client and server. But for server, we need to have the context, like rec, rest. It can be useful, also to manage sessions. And client side, he doesn't care about rec. He has access to local storage, so we don't want to share this file. And we need Webpack for this. And we will use Webpack to have a server bundle and a client bundle. So the server bundle can be optimized for the server side. So Evan made a lot of work on this. So on server, when you have the config and you tell Webpack and you give the Vue plugin SSR, it will optimize Vue. So when you go on the server side, you won't have all the reactivity you have on client side. So it has a lot of perf improvement. It's not like you're really running Vue on the server. It has a lot of improvement when you're on the server. So let's see how it looks now. OK, this is our package.json now. So we have the dev step we call npm run build. And for the build, we have now two Webpack configs. So we call build client, build server. And we call Webpack, and we can see we have two entry points for Webpack. So Webpack client, it will read the entry client.js, Webpack server. And there is, for the server, target node, the library targets, a lot of stuff for the server, including Vue SSR server plugin. And on the client, we will give some environment. For the CSS, manifests, we will see this after. So let's start this example and see what it does. So let's look at our render Vue app now. So when we build, Vue create a dist folder. OK. And inside of this, we will have a manifest with all the files inside our vendor, our app. So it's already optimized. In vendor, you will have all your library, like Vue, Vue router, Vuex, so it can be cached. And you will have app, which is your application, your root application. And then if you code split your pages, you will have different files. We have the server bundle as well for the source map. And then we have all our files, which are built by Webpack. And optimized this way, thanks to Webpack and Babel, we can use async await in our functions, and we don't have to care about browser compatibility. Babel will take care of this. So now we have our render Vue app. We create our bundle renderer, which is another function. But with this, you can have client-side JavaScript. So this is what we want. So I give the server bundle. So I require it from the dist folder. My client manifest, I give my templates and my client manifest. Then I call render to string, and this didn't change. I have my app here. So I export a function, which is a create app. I will come back later to explain why we have to export a function which create a new app every time we ask the server to render an app. And then we have our app.view file. Thanks to Webpack, we can use view file. And that's it. Our entry for client will mount the app. This is the hydration process. So he's aware that Vue has been server rendered, so he will create it on the virtual DOM and patch it directly. And on the server, we create our app and we render it, so we return it. So let's see how it looks now. So one thing in the app, we were showing the URL. Now I just say, OK, we lost it. We will come back after to see how we can get the context we had before. But if I click on the button now, I have my JavaScript on the client side. So if we look at the source code, we have now some JavaScript file which has been inserted by Vue. We have these files, and we have also, because of the server-side rendering, there is an awesome feature. Vue is aware of which page you are and which app and pages is server rendered. So he's able to know which files, if you use code splitting, he has to preload. So when you go on the website and the browser is already showing you the HTML, he's in the same time, while rendering the HTML, downloading the JavaScript and the CSS he needs to show you the page and make it interactive. So this is an amazing example. But right now we don't have hot reloading, hot module replacement. So we need to add it. OK, let's see. Here, I call again server.js, and this time I added. Yeah, this is quite complicated. I'm not sure if I want to go through all the files. And but quickly, we call dev server when we are on development, and we added setup dev server. And I took it from Vue Use example, so it's like bulletproof. And we use Webpack dev server, Webpack hot middleware, so it's great for development. You don't have to restart your server every time. So if I launch it, I have the same one. But what I want to show you here is I added a router and a store. So I can get back my URL and know in my app in which URL I am. So I added app.view. And let's see our app.js. So I have my app, I have a store file, I have a router file, and I have two methods as well here to create my store and my router. And then I create my app, and like Vue router, you give it to the root instance. So let's see the router. I have my router. I created a pages folder, so I can show you after with Nuxt how it looks like. I'm importing the pages. I could have done some code splitting, but let's see later. And I give the path, and that's it. And the store, this is a simple store. OK, let's see our server entry. On the server, I am creating my app, but this time I have app, router, and store. And on the server, I am pushing the URL I had in the context. So Vue router will know in which URL I am, and it can directly display the right pages because it knows the mapping for which URL, which component it has to display. And after, I call router get match component, and if there is no match component, I just display an 404 statute code. And that's it. So now I have my URL back, and if I show you here, I'm simply using this $root.path, and I know in which URL I am. And the fun thing now is I can simply navigate, and it's only client-side. If I refresh, it's been server rendered. We can see it here. This is a magic attribute for Vue. We have our HTML, but then I can navigate like a single-page application. I can do action, commit to the store. And this is the setup you need. And this is only this. But let's talk now about, because it's not only beautiful server-side rendering, there is some some security issue, because you have to be aware about this. It's not only fun. So let's see a few examples. And it's been documented, so it always explains what you have to do, and all the examples already respect the best practices. So each request should have a fresh and isolated app instance. It means that on the client side, when you have a single-page application, every browser will run the app instance, so there is no problem of sharing the instance. But on Node.js, if you create the app and it's global, if you have two users calling the server, you don't want to render the same app because it can have conflict of data inside. So you don't want any cross-request state pollution like a normal single-page app. So to show you this, I can show you a simple example of how to make a security issue in your Vue app. So, OK, I'm exporting a function create store. OK, let's clean a little bit of this. And I have my entry server. So I have my store here, and I create my app. Is it the good example here? No, I don't have my state here, so it always goes. It's the other example. On the example number 6, I added the special feature of the async data in the component. So when we have pages and these pages match it, it's always good to wait for the pages to finish making AJAX requests. Let's say you have a user page or an article, and you want to fetch the article, show your Vue template, and then server render the app. So we created an async data method. So we will call the async data method of every root, every pages component, wait for them, and then we will fill the store. So it's context.state, and Vue will automatically set window.initialState. And then on client side, we can get back this initial state and replace it in the store. So to show you how it looks like, we have this. We have in our pages about, I have async data. It could be an async function, but right now it's only a commit. And I'm incrementing my store. So as you can guess, just increment the counter. So every time I go to about, I increment, and then I display my counter. So it's always 1, which is normal. But now let's see if I decided to create a global store inside my app, like for optimizing my request. I don't want to create a new instance every time I have a request. This is not a good idea. If I do this and I return, why did I write app? OK, if I return my store, this way, I have 2, 3, 4. And if I go to another, let's say I'm another user, I can increment the counter, but it's shared between users. You can imagine you share private information like cookies or JSON Web Token. You don't want this. So this is why Vue recommends to do this. There is also an option if you don't want to bother about this and having like really encapsulated app every time there is a request. There is an option for Vue, but it's not recommended for performances because it calls Node.js VM module, native module, and you will lose in performances, but it's possible. And it's, where is it? Create. OK, it's run in new context. If you say true, Vue will create an isolated instance inside your Node app, like a fresh instance, and then you don't care about sharing anything. But this has a lot of performance issue. Just by respecting best practice, you can have great performances and secure application. OK, I spoiled a little bit. So prefetch data on the server, we have seen this with async data. It's really important. Otherwise, you're not going to display any information to the client. One thing which is pretty important, on the server side, some lifecycle hooks are not called, like mounted before mount. These kind of hooks are not called on the server side. But one is not called, and it's good to know it's destroyed. Destroy is never called. So you don't want to create timer in a view, in your Vue app. Let's say I have my about page I have created here. And let's say I say timer equal set interval. I will say that now. And I will do it every second. No. And then in my destroyed, or before destroy, it's better. Before destroy, I will clear interval of my timer. Let's go to the client side. I go there. I have my timer, so it works. So I go to the home page, my timer works, stop, and it starts again. So no memory leak, it's perfect. But on the server side, let's clean this. I go to about, I have my timer, great. But the page has been already server rendered. Why my timer is still coming? I mean, it should stop. So this is the first memory leak. So every time there is someone requesting your app on the server side, you will have some pretty bad shit coming. So don't use created or before create hooks to start timers, because you will have bad surprises. And lastly, damn it, why did I do that? Lastly, avoid platform-specific APIs. As you know, Node.js doesn't have window, and the browser doesn't have FS. The FS module or whatever module doesn't exist on client side. So it makes sense, but for library, some people forgot that they just have to say if type of window is not undefined, use window. And this will make like 80% of client-side library compatible with server-side, because most of them is only JavaScript code. So yeah, let's talk quickly. Oh, damn it. OK. Yeah.
We still have plenty of time. So
Oh, yeah? How much time I have?
15 minutes.
Oh, yes.
Relax.
Tranquille. OK. So after, maybe I will dance. Because I was thinking about it. So. OK, Nuxt has Vue server rendered inside and a Node.js server. There is integrated meta tags management with Vue Meta, because if you want to use server-side rendering, you are thinking SEO. And if you're thinking SEO, you're thinking about meta tags and title. So it's for us the minimum to have Vue Meta integrated. Automatic code splitting is for the pages. We were inspired by Next, and we improved it to have dynamic pages for the pages folders. So we created routes. You can disable it if you don't want, but you can use it if you want it. No Webpack config to maintain. We are planning to merge with Vue CLI. I mean, not merging, but having a service for Vue CLI. So we will be able to share our Webpack config with the Vue.js core team. So we will be able to work together on having the best Webpack config for Vue and Vue SSR. So we will be more people working on this, and this will be for Nuxt 2.0. So you won't have to think about Webpack config. We will try to do our best for you to have the best Webpack config and a nice way to extend it, and extendable with modular architecture. I just want to show you, because I have 15 minutes, Vue SSR Nuxt. So I did the exact same application. So this is actually how it looks like. The package.json for Vue server render application, because Webpack needs some dependency as well. And this is the package.json for Vue. So we don't want you to think about upgrading every module. And if you upgrade a module, you have a breaking change. So you have to look at this, maybe make a pull request if it breaks something. We want you to only have one dependency, so you can only focus on your job or what you like. It's creating amazing website, I guess. but I think everyone wants to create beautiful website. And then I have the pages folder. It's the same. We created the store, so you don't have to create a new store. You just have to export a state. And if I go there, we try to enforce best practice. No? Yes? Yes, I did it. OK. So this is our application. So let's see if it has the same content. It works the same way. We have async data directly inside. And we have always our counter to 1. So what happens if I say, OK, my state is directly an object? So we have an error, like really bad error. So and it tells you nuxt state should be, no, nuxt tell you state should be a function install./index. So you have a bad error, but this way you know that you won't have any security issue. We will work on having better error, some emoji, something like this, and saying yes, you did it. But we try to enforce best practice. It can be not really nice to do this, but we don't want to have any security issue. And we just want to remove the build folder and the router if we can, the store. So you can directly start with an application and have the store, the router, and your app, and no webpack config, and start coding. And after, if you want to go deeper, you can extend your webpack config. And that's it for server-side rendering. I wish I could go deeper. Maybe I will it in another conference, maybe next year. And to go deeper in view server render, how it works, and the virtual DOM. I try to be more technical. I will go deeper and deeper if you guys like it. I wish to have some feedback after. And we created some modules so you can have progressive web app. But Alex already talked about this, so I won't talk so much. We have something I wanted to talk to you about because it will be released for nuxt.js first in 1 or 2 months. It's I didn't say it yet. So it's a platform for open source. Because right now, as a maintainer, and I think a lot of you guys are maintainers as well, when you have more and more issues, it starts to become difficult to know which one are questions, which one are bug reports, and if it's a bug report, we need some information like the version, a reproduction link, so we can directly work on this and help you. And it's hard because there is no template on GitHub. You can start to write some template, but you cannot force users to use them. And also, we've seen a lot of people helping us on issues. It was pretty amazing, but after some point, they disappear. I don't know where are they. If you guys are here, please come back. But I can understand that at some point you can get not motivated to do this, answering question issues every time, because there is no valuation for these guys helping us. So I'm trying to create a project with my friends for Nuxt first, and trying to open it for other maintainers as well. It's called CMT. It will be open source and completely free. And this is how it looks like. So you will have your bug reports, your questions, your feature requests. People can upvote. And we just try to make open source more enjoyable and finding a way also to make an option for companies to pay the open collective and maybe find a way to let people work on open source and be fully paid and because they love this. So that's it. If you want to look, there is like a pre-beta, but we will try it for Nuxt and we will see how it works. I wish we can find a way to create communities, engaging community for open source, and reward people answering issues, because these guys, I need them as much as I need the guys who make pull requests. So trying to find a way to have these guys. Thank you. It's written, I'm Sebastien. You can find me on ATNux. I think I will rename it to ATNuxt, and that's it. Thank you.